regular meeting of Dallas Social Toastmasters. At this time, please take a moment to silence your phones and electronic devices to respect our meeting and minimize distractions for our speakers. For those who are please join me in reciting.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I would like to offer a quote by Sandra Day O'Connor for you to consider. Slaying the dragon of delay is no sport for the short-lived. Now, please help me to welcome our club president joining us through Zoom, Lee King.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to another session of Dallas Social Toastmasters. Let's begin.
Please help me welcome our Toastmaster for today's meeting, Rob Giles.
Thank you very much, Angelica. Welcome, everyone. Apologize for the delay in getting started here, but we're going to get through it and push through, and we're going to make our time for the end of the meeting, I promise. You might have noticed on the agendas that we have a theme tonight of summer vacation, and that's pretty appropriate, right, for the time. We're at the beginning of June, heading into the hotter months, and next week will show us exactly what those hotter months are going to be feeling like, at least. I took the opportunity to have the summer vacation as the theme because I was thinking about what I'm going to be doing in August, which is going on a camping trip with my family, something that my family does every year and has done since I was little. And that, for me, was always my summer vacation. And it wasn't always the best summer vacation. It was something that, as a kid, my summer vacation was really that day that we got out of school. And I remember vividly the last day of school, because I would ride my bike to school, and I couldn't wait for that bell to ring, get on my bike, and just zoom home. All my friends by my side riding along. And at that point, that was summer vacation. And that's what I imagined, just having fun with my friends for 3 months. It's not what we think of as summer vacation, or at least as vacation as adults, but that's the one image that comes to my mind when I think of summer vacation. Now, summer vacation, again, is different for us as adults, and it's also different for everybody as to what they like to do. Some people may like to just change how hot it is from place to place. Others may change, well, I don't like the heat for the summer. I want to go someplace cool, maybe a little skiing or something like that. I'll get a little more interactive with all of you as we go along, but let's go ahead and move into introducing our duty holders for the evening who are going to help us out and help us to improve ourselves over the course of the meeting as we do over the course of our Toastmaster journey. So we're going to start here with our timer for the evening. And duty holders, if you can come up to the front, right in front of the, you don't have to come on stage, but come in front of the stage so that the people online can see you. Please help me to welcome Jessica Guadagnino.
How to make sure I don't have lettuce in my teeth, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. As timer, I will be helping the speakers practice expressing a thought within a specific time. My duty is no time prepared speeches, table topic speeches, and speech evaluations during this meeting. The green card, which I do not have, sorry, is that in the bin?
Yeah, it is. Here you go.
Brief delay. Thank you.
Here you go. There you go.
Okay. The green card indicates qualifying time. The yellow card is target time, and then the red card is maximum time. And you have 30 seconds to finish up. For a 5 to 7 minute prepared speech, I'll show the green card at 5 minutes, the yellow card at 6 minutes, the red card at 7 minutes, and you have 30 seconds to finish. For table topics, each speaker is encouraged to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. I will show the green card at 1 minute, the yellow card at 1 minute and 30 seconds, the red card at 2 minutes, and you have 30 seconds to finish. For evaluators, you have 2 to 3 minutes. The green card is shown at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the red card at 3 minutes, and you have 30 seconds to finish. If you speak under time or over time by more than 30 seconds, you will be disqualified and you will not be eligible for awards. However, for table topics, you must reach at least 1 minute. I will report qualifying times when called upon throughout the meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Our next duty holder is our vote counter for the evening. Please help me to welcome Levi Joe. Levi, please describe your role as vote counter this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As vote counter, I will collect and count ballots, one of these, each you see on your table. When the audience votes for best speaker, best table talk speaker, best evaluator, and best of the big three. The big three are the Toastmaster, Table Topics Master, and General Evaluator. I will record which person wins in each category. I will not cast a ballot myself, except in the case of a tie, in which case I will cast a vote to break that tie. I will not announce a tie vote. Please put your vote in one of the containers with the blue cups at your tables. At the end of the meeting, I will announce and award ribbons to the winners of each vote. The ballot also has spaces to write comments for each speaker, evaluator, and table topics participant. Please place comments in the containers, and I will deliver them to the appropriate speaker at the end of our meeting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Levi. We appreciate that. The next duty holder is actually yours truly. I'm taking on this role as posture monitor. I don't have the bell with me. It's over there. I'll get in it. Well, yeah, you can go get it. You can get it for me. I want to ding it a little bit before you get going. But I'm here to watch your posture. Poor posture that might distract from what you're trying to say, what you're trying to convey. And then also good posture, maybe some good gestures that might enhance what you're trying to say, raise your speech to the next level. If I do see something that's distracting, like hands clasped here or down here, as we call forward fig leaf, behind, if you have your hands in your pockets, if you fiddle with your clothes, your glasses, your hair, at that point, you may hear that. If you hear that, you're doing one of those things. It's distracting or might be distracting to the audience. So try to think about it for a split second and avoid it moving forward. I'll keep notes on all of this throughout the meeting, and I will give a report at the end of the meeting when called upon by our general evaluator. Okay, thank you very much. Our next duty holder is performing a double duty, and that is our odd counter and grammarian, and that is Karen Lee. Karen, can you tell us what you're going to be performing or how you're going to be watching out for us during this meeting?
As odd counter, I'll listen for long pauses like ahs and ums and so's, and I won't do anything during the prepared speeches. I'll keep track and make notes, and then during table topics and other portions of the meeting, I'll use the clicker when I hear any long pauses, ahs, ums. And then as grammarian, Rob's picked the word of the day, which is evanescent, which is an adjective, and it means tending to vanish like a vapor, or vaporize. When used in a sentence is once the first day of school began, the summer seemed evanescent. And so we can use evanescent during table topics, and I'll make notes and keep track, and I'll also listen for any interesting uses of the English language and make a report when called upon. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Karen. So that's it for our duty holders and what they're going to be doing for us tonight. So you have a good idea of what they'll be looking for, and then hopefully we get some great feedback at the end of the meeting regarding some of those things. Summer vacation. How many of you annually try to take some sort of vacation over the summer? Okay. How many of you have kids and that's what is really forcing you to take a vacation over the summer? Okay, yeah, maybe a little bit, right? Times have changed, right? But that often is a reason that parents will go on vacation in the summer is basically they have a kid who's at home from school and what else are you going to do? We got to entertain this kid. And I think children come to believe at this point that there needs to be something like that. There needs to be some sort of excitement. Now for me, like I said, when I was growing up, wasn't really excitement because when I left to go camping with my family, I really wanted to stay back and hang with my friends. But once I got there and started experiencing everything, then I definitely wanted to be there. And by the end of the camping trip, I was thrilled that I was there. I was thrilled that I went, had a great time. And that was pretty much every year. So at the beginning, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. At the end, I'm glad I went. And sometimes as children, we're forced into those situations. Adults, we can kind of avoid those. For myself, I love the heat. You know, when the 100-degree temperatures come around, I'm all for it. Now, as I grow older, that changes a little bit. My body can't handle as much of that heat, and my stamina reduces. My ability just to be out in the heat is reducing every year. How many of you out there like to take a vacation and just go somewhere else on a different beach as opposed to hanging out here in Texas? No? In the summer, that is. Right. I know you want to go to Jamaica.
But not in the summer.
But not in the summer. So how many of you like to go, let's say, on a ski trip or something like someplace a little cooler, maybe out of Alaska or someplace during the hot months? Yeah, Tom? Nobody else really? All right, maybe the people who want to go skiing, it's the winter that spurs them on. Who knows? But we all kind of have different things. I mean, as adults too, if we don't have kids, vacation is whenever we can get it off from work, right? That's when we take our vacation. We don't have to worry about kids, children to take with us or to worry about. And we have a little bit more freer schedule to decide what we're going to do as far as vacation is concerned. Think about it. I have a couple more questions regarding vacations for you, but let's go ahead and move into our 2 prepared speeches for this evening. We have one that's going to be online with our club president. He's going to give a speech, and then we're going to have another one after him from our VP of PR. So let's go ahead and start with Lee King's speech, and I'm going to ask Kim. Kim is going to be Kim is going to be his evaluator for the evening. Kim, can you come on up and tell us a little bit about Lee's speech tonight? Oh, hold on.
Lee is giving a speech called
I think I have.
Bird Migration, 5 to 7 minutes. We are looking for the basics. We're looking for an opening body and a close. What are his main points? Was he able to wrap it up? And anything else that catches our attention. Lee King, Bird Migration.
I've got an evaluation form somewhere for Lee. He gave it to me, and I was going to pass it along, but I don't remember exactly where I put it in the haste of getting there. As Kim mentioned, let's go ahead and welcome Lee King with Bird Migration. Bird Migration, Lee King.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some interesting information about bird migration. As many of us go on vacations throughout the summer and spring and even winter, when we're on vacation, we might see different types of birds, or we might also experience different birds flying through North Texas at different times. All of this can be part of bird migration. And you might think that migrating birds is a small amount of the bird population, but that's actually not true. It's estimated that at least 5 billion birds from at least 187 different species of birds will migrate between Europe and Asia every year, as well as travel south down to Africa. Likewise, in North America, it is estimated that another approximate 5 billion birds will migrate from at least 200 different migrating species of birds. That makes the total number of bird species to be close to almost 400 species of birds that travel the earth every year. Now, we are familiar with birds flying through at different times. Normally, we're used to the fall, associating that with the Canadian geese flying south, and other birds flying through in the springtime. This is all part of what is known as the bird's annual cycle. The bird's annual cycle contains many different parts. Migration is one big component because when they fly to one place, they will fly back to their originating place. But at times, when they have migrated to a new area, they will actually mate, and that's where their offspring are born. So not always does the originating place of a bird be the same place as where they will mate, lay their eggs. Some birds will mate, lay eggs, eggs hatch, and they bring their chicks back to their original place. Through this process, however, that does teach the young birds how to migrate. We'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of actual migration for tonight and save the annual bird cycle for later. One interesting fact about migrating birds: there are so many migrating birds at such dense populations and flock sizes that they can actually be detected on sonar radars. Now, there is actually an advantage to being able to detect birds on radars. Well, for one thing, the ornithologists, or people that study birds, are able to determine which birds are migrating where based on their speeds and flight patterns. Also, it helps indicate how the bird population is doing. If you see large groups of migrating birds, that indicates that the population is growing or staying the same. However, if these areas are smaller on the radar, that indicates that there is some decline, and that will result in further research determining where the birds are dying. Are they dying in their original place, or are they not making it back from migration? And then, of course, the question is, what can be done about it? But again, that's another topic for another day, but just to give you an appreciation of how fascinating and how big of a deal migration really is. Now, birds take different routes. Most likely you're familiar with birds flying from north to south. That's because you grew up here in North America. However, that's not always the case. In fact, in other parts of the world, such as in Europe, birds actually travel east to west. Some might travel west to east. And then finally, other birds that live in New Zealand, originate in New Zealand, will actually travel north up through Asia and then across to North America, back down the western coast of the United States, and then back out through the Pacific Ocean. So they actually make a loop. Needless to say, it is not proper to say that birds always fly from north to south. That's actually more of a myth, although very common in North America. Now, there are several things that cause birds to change their flight routes, and there's a reason for the north-south in North, Central, and South America. For one thing, it's a temperature. Birds that travel north have to have cooler temperatures, while birds traveling from north to south need warmer temperatures. But I'll leave you with one final very interesting fact about bird migration, and that is the feats that they take during their migration. One might think that birds take small flights and take lots of rests. Once again, that's not always true. Some birds can actually travel as far as 8,000 miles or 13,000 kilometers. And they might fly up to 90 consecutive hours or for almost 4 days. So as you can see, this is just a snapshot of the very interesting life of birds and their journeys from one place to another. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Lee. Our next prepared speech is coming from our VP of PR, Mr. Mark Schroeder, and Mark's evaluator for the evening is Mr. Dagan Newland. Dagan, will you please let us know the goals of Mark's speech this evening?
All right, Mark is doing a speech from the Connect with Your Audience project. So the purpose of this project is for a member to practice skills needed to connect with an unfamiliar audience, which meaning it's a new topic or unfamiliar topic to the club members here. So just based on its title, I'm guessing that's the case. So overall, Mark is a seasoned Toastmaster, so I think it's gonna be very hard to spot something that he needs to work on. But we'll see. So back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Dagan. Please help me welcome Mark Schroeder with Travails during a pandemic. Travails during a pandemic, Mark Schroeder.
Thank you, Rob. That was actually travails during the pandemic. I know a lot of the demographics and sensibilities of people in this room, and we've all been pretty careful during COVID. And if you're like me, you are resenting the fact or regretting the fact that there's been almost no travel, especially not international travel, hasn't felt safe. Well, we took a trip recently to Jamaica, the first trip in 3 years. And I want to tell you about some of the things that happened during that travel with regard to COVID, because they're not always expected, and they're certainly not things that we were looking forward to or expecting and knowing what was going to happen. So I wanted to share that experience and give you an idea of some of the perils and pitfalls of traveling during an international pandemic. And I'm going to do that in 3 sections. The first one is going to be getting out of this country and into another country, and then what you have to do while you're in that country, potentially, at least what things you ought to think about, and then coming back home, because you got to do all 3 or you don't really have a full trip. So those are the ways I'm going to do it. Sound good? All right, let's start with getting out of this country. It depends on the country that you're going to be in as your destination, because every country's got different requirements to get in, and they're changing constantly. In our case, we went on April 13th, and at the time of April 13th, you had to have a COVID test, a negative COVID test 2 days before, or you didn't get out of the country into Jamaica. That has since changed. It in fact even changed while we were on our trip. So you had to keep up to date 100%, but it really meant that 2 days before our trip, all the money we paid could have gone down the drain. We might not have been able to travel at all, might not have been able to leave. So consider that. You've got some financial risk there. You can deal with that potentially with some trip insurance. Talk about things like that. But the thing is, it's constantly changing, and it's not just getting into the country. You have to get into the country, you've got to be able to get on the airline, and have the airline allow you to do that, and you've got to have the resort or wherever you're going to go allow you. They actually had a requirement on the taxi service. If we picked up a random taxi, they would not have let us on the resort. It had to be a particular certified taxi, what is called a red tag, which means those people in theory are doing better things with regard to COVID protection and cleaning and all of those kind of things. Take the wrong taxi, we get there, we're all the way in Jamaica, but we can't get on the resort anymore. They'll put us in quarantine. So that's not where you want to be. The second thing, once you're in the foreign country. So for us, that was a little bit easy. Jamaica is mostly outdoors. There are 3 spots on the resort that are actually indoors. One of them is one of the restaurants, one of the inn restaurants, because there were several. There is a piano bar, and I think the third place really is the disco. We did not end up in the disco just because there was no particular reason to do that. But we did end up doing the indoor restaurant, and there's some additional risk there of getting COVID. And we also certainly were in the piano bar. You gotta be in the piano bar. What's the point of going to Jamaica if you're not gonna go to the piano bar? But you have to consider these sorts of things. Are you going to take those risks? There was also the question of the pool, even. Do you want to get in a pool with 250 other people that are standing around? I limited the amount of time that I was in the pool, and the pool was super, super crowded and standing room only, which some days it was, just because I didn't want to do that. Now, to be fair, outdoors, many times you're within a close distance, but only 30 seconds, that's probably okay. But I have to admit, I had some more extended conversations. In some cases, I made a little bit more distance between me and that other person, because I wanted to make sure I was going to get back off of the island. That's why you have to be careful while you're in the resort or in the country, because the third part is returning home. Returning home required negative test the day before. Now, in many places that means that you could take a PCR test, but not in Jamaica. If you take a PCR test in Jamaica, you don't get the results back probably for 2 to 3 days. By the time you get the results back, it's invalid, you can't use it. So it's got to be one of the nasal swabs, pretty much. When you do this test, the question is, how do you do it? So we actually trusted the resort to do the test for us. And that did not work out too badly for us because we did the test early in the morning. We learned the week before there were 9 out of 10 people. There were 10 people who tested positive. 9 out of 10 of them were false positives. 9 out of 10. They had set all of the nurses stationed up at the piano bar, except outside on the patio. And while they're on the patio, that's in the sun. Tests are sitting out there on the table in the sun all day long. And some of these people were probably tested at 3 and 4 in the afternoon. Let's say that those tests probably were no longer below 85 degrees, is my bet. They tested positive when they otherwise wouldn't have. They got false positives. That false positive means they lose their flight, they don't get to leave the resort, they potentially are going to have to deal with any pet issues and everything else in terms of being able to get back home. They're going to have to worry about their job and whether or not they're going to get back to their job on time. The perils of a false positive, which you have nothing to do with because you're still negative, is one of the risks that you're going to take. And who's going to pay for all of that extra time? We had 4 out of between 40 and 45. I don't know what the count was in our group. But we had a full 10% of the people did not make it back because they tested positive. And most of them got an extra 5 days in order to get negative to be able to come back. One of them still was testing positive, did not get a chance to come back without a letter, a document of recovery from the Ministry of Health. But there's all of these risks, and one of them couldn't get back for 7 days because he couldn't get a flight. They were negative, no seats on any flights. Our flight was full. Again, cost, risk to your job, a lot of things you have to deal with pets, house, if you have children, anything else like that, getting back home. So these are some of the things that you have to think about, and they do affect you, and some of them are completely out of your control, like idiots putting tests in the sun all day long. We got our test at 9 in the morning to try to prevent that at least, so that was the start. But overall, it was worth it. First trip in 3 years, very glad I did it, very glad I took the risk. I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do on my trip. I skipped the catamaran cruise so that I wasn't around too many people. We did do all of the things we could have done up front. We continually checked the requirements to get into and out of the country, and we kept up to date with that through our travel agent and through all of the websites that are available, so that we knew exactly what was going on. We had trip insurance just in case, which covered COVID. You need to do that. And in worst case, if we had gotten stuck, we just would have been stuck. That's it. Mr. Toastmaster. only be one copy.
Thank you very much, Mark. At this point, I would ask our timer, Madam Timer, did our speakers qualify on time this evening?
Unfortunately, Mark was over by 30 seconds, but Lee, you did a good job. You were at 6 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, so can I ask what exactly was Mark's time?
7 minutes and 33
Oh, I was
seconds.
6 to 8.
Oh, okay.
Was that not on the agenda?
No, it was.
Oh.
It was.
Then they both
Sorry.
qualify.
He's good then.
Okay.
All right, so, sorry about that.
Disregard what I said. They both passed. They're good.
All right. So please go ahead and, as our vote counter described earlier, take one of the ballots. Guests, you're encouraged to do this as well. Write down who you thought did the best between the two speakers, tear it off, put it into the cup, and our vote counter will come around and collect those to tally the votes. If you have any comments for the two speakers, please go ahead and write those down as well. Make sure that you put down who it's for, whether it's for Lee or whether it is for Mark. And I would ask that you also put your name at the end of it so that they know who that note came from, that comment came from. Put those in the cup as well, and our vote counter will distribute those comments as he finds them. So before we move on to the next portion of our meeting, I want to get a feel for some of you. I mentioned for myself, in August, I'm going to be going on a camping trip with my family. And this one's kind of an important one for myself because it's probably the last camping trip that my parents are actually going to go on. And that might change. They may come down and visit because it's only about an hour and a half away from where they live. But it's an important one for me because I get to be with them during this time and possibly the last time that our entire family will be together with them. So it's an important one for me. Does anybody have a planned vacation for sometime this summer that they would like to share? Michael?
It's not summer, but it's close.
Okay. If you,
I'm going to Germany for Oktoberfest this fall.
there you go. Yeah, there's a few people in here who are already jealous. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I bought the tickets in February. I'm going through the process of buying individual tickets. I just bought tickets in Schwanstein and Monschwau Castle in Bavaria. I have several hotels in southern Bavaria, a Rhine River cruise in Frankfurt, and also hotels in Munich.
That's awesome. I myself, if you were just going to Oktoberfest, like a festival here, I'd be jealous. So that's an awesome vacation. Not quite in summer, but you know, we'll allow it, you know, for entertainment purposes and for people to be envious. Jessica, I think I saw you raise your hand. Do you have something going on this summer?
Yes, I'm going to Florida because my husband's parents are renewing their 35-year vows. So.
That is awesome. That's a great example for everybody, but I admire them, and I think that's great that you're making that trip to be there with them for that important event. So that's great. John, you also had raised your hand.
Well, me and my family use the cruise and decided about this.
I'm sorry, go where?
Send out my Arizona.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Very cool. It's not, you know, it's not a cruise, like you said. It's not, you know, the water. It's not ocean, but it should be fun. And when are you going there? So you're going to go from the heat to the heat. August?
Yeah, heat in Arizona is not like heat.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Awesome. That's some good vacations coming up for some of us this summer. Anybody else want to add some summer vacation plans for us? No? That's fine. All right. So let's go ahead and move into the second portion of our meeting tonight, and that is our table topics. I would ask you to please help me to welcome our topic master for the evening, Mr. Tom Tariki.
Thank you very much, John. This is the portion of our meeting where we get to practice extemporaneous speaking. Practice taking a table topic, a question, and thinking on your feet, composing an answer. So we'll vote on best table topic speaker. In order to qualify, you have to use the word of the day, and you have to fit it within you have to speak for at least 1 minute, a maximum of 2.5 actually, but you'll get the green card or the red card at 2, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. So this has been really challenging because as you guys have been to a lot of these meetings, you know how it works. You get as the table topic master, you get the topic from the Toastmaster beforehand, and you have to prepare questions. And Rob has already teed up and answered all of the questions as a part of his comments. And I knew that would be the case. But let's do this anyway. So before I get started, we have 2 guests whose name I'm embarrassed to say I didn't get beforehand. Do you guys want to take a question?
I'll take a question.
You'll take one? Okay, and tell me your name.
Danielle.
Danielle? Michael? All right, we'll have 2 takers. Wonderful. Okay, so first question. Rob mentioned one of the things that I was thinking about when he said that the topic was summer vacation. Rob mentioned now as adults, when we think about summer vacations, we think of a trip somewhere. But when you're kids, it's not about trip, it's about school's out. So my first question then goes to Levi. Which is better? School's out when you're a kid and you got 3 months of idle time, or a trip now that you're an adult?
So what's better, trip as a kid or trip now as an adult? I would say trip as an adult. The reason being, as a kid, so you spend about 21 years of your life from kindergarten to college, and you have every summer 3 months off, best time of your life. And honestly, you take it for granted. Now that I work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week now, only have weekends off, I really miss taking a nice 3-month break. The last time I went on vacation was about 2 months ago. I went on a camping trip over in New Mexico. And I thought it was going to be very relaxing, but when you're camping, you're actually hiking a lot. And I was not prepared to be hiking 8 miles daily. It was a lot of work. We have a huge backpack on, and I felt like my legs were going evanescent. They were falling off. I could barely feel them anymore. Every single day I'd get home, we would hike from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. It was a lot of fun, but it was very tiring. And so I really miss going back to college and just school in general, where you have a full 3 months off. All you do is hang out with friends, summer school maybe. It's a lot more relaxed. And I think moving from school into the professional roles has given me a great appreciation for taking time off. Thanks, Tom.
I noticed you used the word evanescent, the word of the day. Thanks very much. I don't know about you all, but a lot of times when I'm fielding a table topics question, it's my brain that goes evanescent, not the legs. So our next question then. Are summer vacations overhyped? Karen, do you want to take a question?
So the question is, are summer vacations overhyped? I think that summer vacations may be too much hype for summer vacations, although the time can be evanescent. We could actually take other vacations during other months of the year. The summer in Texas is so hot that I either want to go maybe to the Northwest to see my people because the temperatures are much better in the Northwest, but you can take vacations in the spring and the fall when the weather is better. I think there is too much emphasis on summer vacations because what about the other parts of the year, say maybe the winter or the spring or fall? temperatures, especially around here, are better in spring or fall rather than during the summer. So I think that there's too much hype around just plain summer vacations. Back to you, Tom.
Okay, our next question. Danielle, I'll give you one. Come tell us about your best vacation ever. The best vacation you've had.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Danielle again. Just want to piggyback a little bit before I begin my question off of Karen's question. You don't have to wait until summer to take a vacation. My motto is every 90 days you should take a vacation. So I would say honestly, I love all my vacations. I would say my best vacation this year, I went to Denver, Colorado for the first time, and I seen snow. It was my first time in my 29 years of living seeing snow, so I was excited to see that. I was able to go up in the mountains. You guys are familiar with Winter Park. If anybody has been to Denver, if you're familiar with Winter Park mountains, I was able to go up in the skiing and everything. We were literally 10,000 feet in the air. I thought I was gonna pass out. I'm glad I didn't, but it was a great experience. And nice to meet you guys. I'm hoping that I don't become evanescent in the club. And thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Well done. So that was our best vacation. Our next question, you can probably predict where this is going. You want to tell us about worst vacation ever?
So the question was, worst vacation ever. I'm going to counter that a little bit in the fact that I don't really consider any of my vacations to be bad, but I will give the worst one in that regard. So when I was younger, my dad's family all was from Nebraska, and that part of the family would go to the Niobrara River in northwestern Nebraska every summer to do like a river trip and canoe down the river and everything. We never made it. We lived in Virginia, separate from the rest of the Nebraska family. So one time we decided to go with my Uncle Jim, who is very loud, boisterous, and likes to have a good time, and also slightly cynical. So I had the pleasure of sharing my tent with him and listening to him snore all night. And in addition, we made, for some reason, most people cook burgers or hot dogs when you go to a campground. We made paella at pitch black in the night, and I was sitting there grilling steaks for him, cooking shrimp, doing scallops, and all these different things. And it was a very adventurous vacation, but not necessarily very relaxing for some of it because we were doing so busy. So that's my vacation.
Yeah, I have a manager that Mark knows who used to say, experience is what you get when you're trying for something else. Sometimes when you get the best stories out of vacations when things don't go as planned. Next question that goes to, let me think, Angelica, are you up for taking a question? All right then. Let's see. Tell us about, do you prefer a chill vacation, go hang out on the beach with nothing to do, or an activity-filled vacation where you're going to a city or you're seeing the sights, you're doing stuff?
So the question was, do I prefer a very super chill vacation or an activity-packed vacation? And I would have to say, I would prefer to just go lay on a beach the whole time and just relax, have a cocktail, get some sun in, but I just can't bring myself to do that. All of the vacations I've gone on have just been go, go, go. The first big vacation that I went on as a solo trip, it was to Spain, Italy, and France, and it was through a travel group called Kentucky, where it's like all these young people from all over the world that come for like these specific themed tours. And so that one was a food tour. So we were eating at these amazing restaurants that had, you know, very food that was, you know, the specialty of that region. So that was amazing. And then the second solo trip I went on was to Greece, and that vacation, when I left, I didn't have any plans at all. And so everything was just, we're just gonna go along with it as we go. So while I was there, it was just activity, 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 go to the beach, go on a tour, go on a food tour. And I enjoyed both of them very much so. So I would say I'm probably more an activity person.
Thanks very much. How are we doing on time, Rob? Have time for any more, or are we done? Need to wrap it up. Wrap it up? Okay. Sorry, Jessica. We'll get you next time. I know you're disappointed. I know you're hurt. Can I get a timer's report? How did all of our speakers do?
Everyone qualified.
Everyone qualified. All right. And Grammarian's report.
See, I heard Levi, myself, Danielle say the word of the day, but I didn't hear Michael raise his arm. Okay. So it was between Levi, Danielle, and myself.
Okay, so at this time, do we vote? I'm trying to remember. I've only been doing this a year.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and take the opportunity now to put in your vote for your best table topic speaker. Levi, Karen, or Angelica?
No.
And, oh, I'm sorry.
Levi.
Danielle. Levi,
Karen.
and Danielle. Sorry about that. All right, next up is John, our general evaluator.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John. I'm your GE for tonight. GE is the general evaluator. In this portion of the meeting, we'll be doing evaluation of the meeting and duty holders and our evaluators for our speeches. So we're going to start tonight with our evaluations. Now, our first evaluation for the evening is going to be Kim Crandall, who is evaluating Lee's speech. So come on up, Kim.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Lee. Tonight, Lee gave us a great speech. He caught our attention right off. And that's important to be able to grab and get your attention drawn in. There was only one thing that I would have liked to have seen different in Lee's speech. He did a lot of things well. I noticed that he had a good rate and pitch of speech. He could have maybe added a little bit more vocal variety, but as far as general speech, I didn't find any problems with that. He picked a topic that was enjoyable and he could relate it to the audience. So you always want to be mindful of your audience. I think he excelled with the fact that he was very comfortable during his presentation. He did not have any nervousness that I could tell at all. And he definitely was enthusiastic about the content of what he was speaking about. The only thing that I would have liked to have seen different tonight, and this has been a challenge for the last couple of years during virtual speeches, he was seated and he didn't really have any gestures. That would have added more to his speech. So we always want to try and incorporate gestures when we can. That's the only thing that I would have liked to have seen different tonight from Lee. Other than that, you can tell he's a very accomplished speaker, very comfortable, being able to draw the audience in, and also being able to keep our attention. Mr. Gentleman Evaluator.
Okay. Now our next evaluator for the evening is going to be evaluating Mark Schroeder's speech. And that's going to be Dagan Newland. So Dagan, come on up.
All right, let's see if I can read this sloppy handwriting of mine. First, I was going to say, really awesome speech, Mark. I'm going to evaluate using the 3-2-1 method. 3 things I find like about it, a couple things to improve on, and one thing I really liked. So first, about the things I liked. The play on words. You're always good at playing on words. So travail during the pandemic, travels. So that's pretty much what you talk about. You talk about the travail of traveling during a pandemic. So I always like that when you do those play on words like that. Second thing I like is, as a speech, how the structure of speech is a good opening, body, and conclusion. That's exactly what you did. You had a really great opening, made your opening statement, then you told us about the topics that you were talking about, then you went right into those topics, gave good information on each topic, then you followed up with a really good conclusion. So definitely did that. And also, to add on to this, you definitely completed that project, bring up an unusual topic that we haven't really talked about that kind of stuff in this particular group. The third thing that I liked about it is you had a lot of really great hand gestures up here, and let me know they all went along with what you're saying. They all fit, all your gestures fit what you're saying, so that's really good. But there's a little caveat to that, but you don't lead me to the things that I think you need to improve on. So a couple things I think you need to improve on, like I said, you had a lot of great gestures, but most of them were coming from the right side. So maybe try to be a little more ambidextrous and use your left side for more gesturing. And when we talk about left and right, when you're up here, the use of stage, every time you popped out, you popped out on the left side, and when you came back here, maybe pop out on this side. So your gesture's on the right side, but your popping out is on the left side. So maybe just think about that, use the different parts of the stage. And the very last thing that I really like about your speech is overall, just really great information and a lot of great reminders about, traveling during times like this, during a pandemic or, times like this. So overall, it's a really great speech, really loved it. And back to you, Johnny Knight.
Thank you, Dagan. Now, a few comments about tonight's meeting. Rob, how late can we start? No,
as late as it takes.
Yeah, as late as it takes. No, I understand you got stuck at work, so you ran a little late. That's fine. We did start like 15 minutes late, but we still got the TV up. I guess we have a hard wire because we didn't have Wi-Fi.
We still do not have any Wi-Fi. We are both broadcasting over cellular.
Oh, okay. That's why I kind of thought maybe you were doing. So, I want to call for a timer's report. So, Jessica, did both members qualify on time?
Yes, they both qualify.
All right, thank you. So if you would take a moment and vote for who you thought did the best job as evaluator this evening between Kim Crandall or Jessica Newland, and put the notes in the cup, and Levi will be around to pick those things up. Now, other things I was going to talk about as far as evaluation. I thought the theme was really good. Everybody has a vacation at some point. So the subject matter, I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, the subject matter was good. I'm at an age now where I don't have kids or anything like that, so summer isn't a vacation time for me. I can take a vacation any time of year, and usually we go in the fall. This year, I don't know why they picked August, but whatever. I just get told where I'm supposed to be, and I go. But no, they've already talked about, ooh, well, let's take a cruise in October too, and it's like, really? Well, we'll see. I haven't heard anything about it, because it's my sister's.
You can take it to Germany.
I could. just need a whole bunch of bratwurst bought back. But, because it's my sister's 50th wedding anniversary, and that's why they always go in October, because it's their anniversary, so they were going to go do that. I'll have to wait and hear on your report, because, you know, now you guys got me curious. Anyway, thank you. But so far, I thought everybody did a really good job tonight. Their table topics were good. They were right on point. You managed to come up with some questions that Rob didn't cover in his territory. So, all in all, that was a great job too. And everybody had really good answers. I mean, everybody can talk about a vacation they've had at some point. So now, let's go ahead and hear from our duty holders. And we're going to start with Karen, my odd counter and grammarian.
Well, as odd counter, I heard a lot of so's tonight. Levi had so during his table topic. Michael had 2 so's and 2 ums. Daniel had 2 ums. And Angelica had a so and 3 ums and 2 you-knows. And John, you had 4 so's. And Dagan had 1 so during his evaluation. As grammarian, we heard about, Lee told us about the bird's annual cycle, ornithologist. Mark talked about travails, perils, and pitfalls of travel, and documents of recovery. Let's see. And Tom told us that a quote from his a former boss, experience is what you get when you're trying for something else. Back to you.
All right, thank you. Our other duty holder for this evening is Mr. Rob Giles, who is our posture monitor. So, will you give us our posture report?
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. So I saw some good things and saw some things that were a little bit distracting. Karen, when you were up here during table topics, you had clenched fists, but they were down by the side, which is a good position to have your arms when you're not making a specific gesture to enhance what you're saying. But you did kind of clench your fists at least a little bit at the beginning when you were giving your table topic answer. Danielle, you had some clenched hands up here in front of you, and generally that's a nervous thing. It's your first time up here, so I understand that definitely. As far as Michael, you were up here and you gave a good gesture. You were talking about cooking and you were using your hands like you were moving around in the kitchen and that type of thing. So it was a good way to enhance what you were trying to say. Angelica, I dinged you. You immediately knew what I was talking about. You had your hands behind your back as what we call a reverse fig leaf. And as soon as I hit the bell, you pulled them out and put them at your side. So great job in recognizing what that was. You also had some good gestures as well, one of them being activity, 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 just enhancing that whole kind of frantic pace. So you did a good job with that. John, when you were up here, one thing I liked was your summer vacation with the quotations that kind of added to it that, hey, summer is not what it was when we were kids kind of thing. You did have a ding when you kind of scratched and wiped your face, so you knew that as soon as I dinged you on that one. Dagan, when you were up here during your evaluation, you had some good gestures. I saw you said, I think, a little caveat when you were talking about something that Mark had done, and you kind of put your finger up and kind of shook it a little bit. You also were talking about left to right, and you were using your hand gestures, pointing out those, enhancing those. And then your use of the stage was good in providing an example on what Mark could do. So overall, great job. I didn't see anything else that I noted. Overall, I think everybody did a pretty good job, but keep those things in mind, and hopefully next time we can improve upon them. Back to you, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Karen. Great job by both of our duty holders for the night. The other duty holders you don't see. Good job timing. There we go. We haven't heard out Levi yet, so we'll see if he did a good job on timing. But all in all, that's been a really good evening. Summer vacation, nothing else that's kind of fun. Just takes your mind off of other things, even when we're just talking about summer vacations. It's fun to hear some other people's vacation stories. I mean, that's why we're here, to hear each other speak. Tell me what it was. Now, last duty for this evening is to call for a vote on the best of the big three. Now, the big three this evening were our Toastmaster, Robert Giles, our General Evaluator, our Topics Master, Tom Pericki, or myself as General Evaluator. So if you would do your vote, put it in the cup. Levi's going to swing around and pick that up in a few minutes. And now I'm going to move us on to our business portion of the meeting. So Lee, you ready to do the business meeting?
Yes, let's go ahead and hear from our two guests. If they could just come up and tell us what they thought about the meeting, what brings them to Toastmasters.
Good evening, everyone, again. Good evening, everyone, again. I am Danielle. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I am new to Dallas. I've been here for about 2 weeks. I'm happy to be here. I was doing Toastmasters in Orlando back in 2019, and I wanted to rejoin now that I'm here and, meet new people, network, and just improve my public speaking skills as well. So that's a little bit about me, my backstory. I just want to improve. I joined Toastmasters to improve my public speaking skills.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
It reminded me a lot of the meeting back home. You guys are very judgment-free. You make me feel welcome and comfortable, so I appreciate that. And I'll be back next week, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Lee, just to let you know, our other guest, Michael, he just turned his application and paid tonight, so he will be no longer a guest.
Okay, great. All right, so we just have the one guest for this evening?
He is here. He will be in front of the microphone.
Hi, again, my name is Mike Emanuel. This is my second week here. I'm enjoying the questions, the ability to come up and talk off the cuff. I think that's really helpful to learn how to do that and to get that experience. The main reason I'm coming, just like Danielle, I'm trying to get better at public speaking. I have a presentation coming up that I would like to improve for public speaking on.
All right, great. All right, since we have an application, let's go ahead and hold the vote. So if someone could help escort him out of the room.
Just one moment while he's being escorted, please. Door is closed. Proceed.
All right. We have an application for a new member. Do I hear a motion to accept our new member?
I motion to accept a new member.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, please bring in our new member. All right, congratulations. Don't have very many other announcements for this evening. The only other thing is to just remind everybody that the hybrid meetings will end at the end of this month. So the 30th, it will actually be, that is actually the end of the Toastmaster year. And that will be our last hybrid meeting. We will also have officer installation sometime in the near future. I've not heard when. Probably once the new area governor takes over, or area director takes over, which will be sometime in July or August. hopefully in July sometime. And with that, we will go ahead and get, I believe, Mark, did you have an announcement about your?
I have two that I have to go through. First, I get to be the bad guy. I get to talk about the volume of people in this room. And as all of you are leaning forward, the point is I get to talk about the volume in this room with the air conditioning on and everything. I'm not sitting that far away. I'm having trouble hearing people. So everybody needs to speak up in this room when that's on. And I get to be the bad guy, but somebody's got to do it. This room kills sound really, really badly. So make sure that you speak up. It's important. The second announcement, which is equally important, at least as far as I'm concerned, is that we're going to do a lunch on Saturday for anybody that wants to join us. We are not that far from North Park. North Park is right across on the other side of Central and just a teeny bit north, about at Lover's Lane or Park, depending upon which exit you take. And we're going to meet at the Breadwinners there Saturday, 11 a.m. We will see whether or not we do indoors or outdoors. It's going to be a hot one. I would, if everybody's comfortable, we'll probably try to do indoors. But they do have a nice outdoors. I don't know, cannot remember honestly if they got enough shade and umbrellas and trees. I think they do. It's been a little while since I've been there. I went there with my niece a while back, but I just can't remember for sure. But 11 a.m. Saturday, this Saturday, at Breadwinners at North Park. Anybody that's interested, let me know so that we know how many seats to get. If you're last minute, you can still let me know through WhatsApp and we can reserve a seat last minute. But I'd love to see as many people as we can there. It's one of the few social events that we've had a chance to do in a while. So it's anybody that can make it, please do. Lee.
All right, let's go ahead and get a vote counter's report, and then the vote counter can adjourn the meeting.
So best speaker goes to Mark. There you go. Best table topic speaker, Danielle. Best of Big Three, Rob Giles. Here you go. And best evaluator goes to Dagan.
All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Just a quick moment while I stop the recording, please.